Welcome to another episode of MSME Show. This week, we are looking at impact on schooling caused due to COVID-19. There are about 15 lakh schools in India, and the worst affected are the government schools and small private schools. Many of them are on the verge of closing down. I have an esteemed panel of guests who come from the education segment or represent the education sector or playing a role in it. And they're here to discuss with us the impact of COVID on schooling and the future. Let's meet our guest. We have Shravya Nalla, who's founder of Presidency School based in Nizamabad, Telangana. Hi, Shravya.
Hi, Sunil. Thank you for having me here.
We have Saurav Datta, who's a filmmaker and founder of Homeschooling. Hi, Saurav.
Hi. Glad to be here.
And soon we'll be joined by Satvinder Singh Setia, who's a social activist, and he also organizes a Walk for School Free. Basically, his organization is into they are in some ways, they challenge or oppose the high school fees, charged by some of the schools. So let's start. And Shravya, let me start with you first. Uh, I know I visited your school with my team long time back and a few months back, and I was quite impressed by the way your school was built. Not just the structure, the education, and the mode of education, and even the detail that the attention that you had paid to environmental protection, right from making school kids plant their own trees or adopt a tree. Do you want to quickly talk about your school a bit before we get into the discussion?
Sure. Yeah. So, Presidency School was actually founded by my mom about 25 years ago. 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago now, Ajit, my husband, and I, we moved to Nizamabad because I grew up here and I had this huge existential crisis that I wasn't doing enough, and we moved back to my hometown. Uh, Over the with we basically moved with a vision to see how we could reform learning in a tier 2 town in an affordable school. That's how our journey started, and the first couple of years we basically just spent a lot of time in the classroom with different kids in different age groups, teaching and experiencing what it feels to be a teacher in the class, handling all those many kids. We spent time in and as admin in the buses, basically getting firsthand experience as a person who works in school in different roles. The school went through a huge transformation inside out, not just in the learning process, but also, we are trying to bridge the gap between learning, how people perceive learning and education, because they're supposed to be the same thing. I so we built a new campus a couple of years ago for our high school students, a little away from the town with a lot more space. And the idea is that learning spaces can actually help children collaborate with each other. You see the conventional setup where there's just rows and columns and kids just all facing the blackboard and listening to the teacher in a lecture way. It's not very engaging. So that's how we started thinking about the learning space, to see how can we use the whole school building as a learning aid. uh, and when we were doing that building, we wanted to make sure that our values are reflected in the building itself. So we are one of the first green buildings that is in any district in Nizamabad, I mean in Telangana.
Oh, well, I must say that the building is. I mean, you should not look at the building from an architect standpoint, but more from the way it has been built to keeping the environment in mind. I mean, what was very impressive was about why the slant roofs, where the teacher looks bigger
Right.
if taller if you're standing in one side of one end of the school or corner of the class, and looks shorter when it's the other side, which was, I think, quite a detailing you had gone into. Tell me one thing, Shravya, as to with the COVID crisis, we've seen the schooling has been disrupted big time.
Right.
uh, you are based in a district, you know, how has it impacted your, I mean, Presidency School in particular, and in general, the education around in your district?
Sure. So let me talk about presidency and what we've been doing over the last 5 years, right? So we are an affordable school. We are in the range of 30 to 36,000 rupees school fee. And over the last 5 years, we've started using some tools to get parents and teachers comfortable with technology, because the kids are, they are natural because they're born in this times of using technology. So we started using tools for teachers first as learners, and they got comfortable with using Google Classroom, with using with researching online, trying with using Google Drive, Word, and Excel and PowerPoint. So coming from a corporate world, all these seem like very simple tools, but there's a lot of mindset resistance that adults need to fight before they get comfortable using these tools. So our teachers were quite comfortable with that, and that helped a lot. The second thing with parents is, again, over the last 5 years, we've had parent education days talking about, is technology good? Is screen time good? How much of it is good? What is not good? And we use a tool called Learning A to Z for our primary school students to practice reading and record a storybook in their own voice. So majority of our primary school parents were already sort of, familiar with using an app. The challenge for us was to see how do we do a mix of live classes where we clear doubts versus recorded classes. All of this takes time and effort, especially because everyone is scattered. As a group, the teachers work really well, but independently, they need a lot more support. So that was one of the challenges that we had uh, transitioning to online learning. Uh, Also, another thing that helped us is we set up an innovation cell at the school 4 years ago. It has 3 to 4 people, but these guys are, I mean, the people that form this team are very diverse. They come from different backgrounds, and one of them works out of Hyderabad, one of them works out of Bangalore, and one of them is based in Nizamabad. He moved from Hyderabad to here. These guys have, helped all of us become very tech savvy. So that helped quite a bit, having that innovation
So,
set.
so that kind of must have been that's the your foresight, and also the fact that you were ready to incorporate technology into your learning. That must have helped come handy during this crisis.
Immensely, yeah. I don't think we could have transitioned so quickly without such difficulty, if not for the last 4 years of work that's gone into it.
So let me also introduce Satvinder Singh Sethia, who's a social activist who just joined us. He organizes Walk for School Fee Correction. Welcome to the show, Satvinder ji. So let me come to you, Saurav. Homeschooling is not very popular among Indians, Indian parents especially. And you have been, your kids have been going through homeschooling. Do you think this crisis opened up opportunity for parents to explore homeschooling? And what's the future?
Few of the words didn't came to me
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. So basically, I was saying, you've been, your kids have been going through homeschooling. Your kid has been going through homeschooling, and has the present crisis, the code crisis, uh, forced or in some ways is an door opening for the parents, Indian parents, to explore homeschooling as an option for today and for future as well.
First of all, my child is 4 years old and he is just playing around. And secondly, the group that I have founded is called Homeschooling India. And it's a very open group. No one is like the owner or runs the group. It's a very open group for all the parents. They can come there and interact about any form of alternative education that they're interested in or they want to know about it. And it's run totally by the community. So I am just the one who somehow came with the idea that let's connect with parents in 2017, and I just formed the group. So that's it, and then it's totally independent and it runs by all the parents. Coming to the present scenario about COVID and connecting it with parents moving towards homeschooling, I think right now the parents who are moving into homeschooling is kind of a temporary solution that they are looking for. They are not looking for a long term solution, and they are just trying to replace the format of schooling within their home, and they are calling it homeschooling. But if we consider homeschooling for like parents who are really for the homeschooling, then the definition and the idea is little different. Although they also work within a frame, they follow a curriculum, they follow a kind of a syllabus within the home space, but it is for a long term, and it is very individualistic approach, keeping in mind the interest of the child, the happiness of the child, the growth of the child. So that's the thing. I think parents who are looking for homeschooling right now under the COVID situation is looking for a temporary solution rather than a long-term solution.
And do you think if this continues, looks like this is going to continue for a while, probably this academic year is gone, more or less. Would this also encourage parents to explore, if not switch completely to homeschooling? What is
Yes,
from your personal experience?
yes, definitely. They are exploring it, and I think there are a lot of parents who are looking for a long-term solution because somehow they are uncertain about the future of the schooling, the mainstream education. If the even the school starts, what about the vaccine? It is not only about the school or the school administration allowing children and opening up school. It is also about the government. It is also about the vaccine. So there are lot of things. I mean, how they're going to travel? So there are multiple factors that parents are going through, and they are really confused. And in that case, I think they are really looking out for other options, and maybe a few of them are looking for a long term option. That may not be homeschooling itself. It can be many things. I mean, in the field of alternative education, there are a lot of forms now. There is homeschooling, there is unschooling, there is travel schooling, there is world schooling. So there are a lot of options available, and parents are looking out for all the options.
Shravya, you and Ajit have been, the disruptors in education space. The way you have, come up with your own school. Do you think you would explore at some stage incorporating homeschooling or a part of homeschooling as part of your school itself?
So actually, as a school, we are affiliated with the National Institute of Open Schooling, which a lot of homeschoolers are currently, I think they're a part of it, and that's how they write their 10th grade. In our current demographics, we do not have many people who have the kind of time and see the benefits of alternate schooling and homeschooling. But I have within my family, there are a few cousins who are homeschooling their children currently. Have been for the last 10 years. So I know people who are homeschooling, and I just had a child about a year ago, and I'm not sure what I want to do with him, if I'm going to send him to a school or homeschool him.
That coming from a founder of schooling, that's something. Satvinderji, you have been organizing these walks for high school, for high fee schools, and the COVID has seen that the schools have closed. Nobody is going to this. The children are not going to the school, but somehow the school fees have not reduced. What is your experience? What has been your inputs and experience from the members who are part of your group?
So as you can, I've been part of this school fee correction campaign with there's a group called HPA, Hyderabad School Parents Association, HSPA. So we tried a lot. We tried to go to different schools, talk to manager. We filed a high court case also against government also. Nothing worked out because they are hand in glove with each other, the school management and politicians, because it belongs to them behind the scene. They get some royalty or whatever they get. So we organized a walk for school fee correction because this is business. This has become huge business. It's literally breaking the back of common person, and especially if you have 2 child or 3 child, it really will kill you by 15% hike every year. So I started a campaign of school fee correction. We walked in front of schools. We literally scared a lot of schools when we walked in front of those schools. They literally, they were very afraid that we are come in front of their school. We took pictures. We got very active in social media, but that the movement is mellowed down now because not many parents want to come. They are fearful about school might, profile their kids whenever they are seen in social media. So it didn't work much. But the output of all these things is we need to find solution of high school fee. So the solution is homeschooling. So I have three daughters. I pulled out one daughter from Delhi Public School. It's in Hyderabad, Delhi Public School, Hyderabad, high tech city. So she's getting homeschooled now. So two daughters are still they want to go to school, but one is sort of we want to homeschool her. So this is
So,
my
Satvinder
message
ji,
to parents. This is my message to parents that school is good. Fine, school is good. We also had school time. We also enjoyed. But I think my main education started out of school. It School has hardly any contributed to what I am right now. My inner drive to learn things, my inner drive to experiment things, or based on the new job which I joined, I have to learn new things over there. So only for interview to pass interview, school education might good look on paper, but actually school education is absolutely rubbish when it comes to job. You can always learn there itself when you're in the job. So you
so
should have
I want to
learned.
bring up,
Yeah,
let me come up with a counter here.
yeah,
School is not necessarily about education alone. Like
yeah.
I remember my best days, I still think of the school days where when you go to a formal school, you
Yes, yes,
tend to learn many skills, like how to work with other, in a group. How do you
yes, yes,
the peers, the peer competition, the peer pressure, you
yes,
learn
yes,
to handle them. So when
yes,
you
yes.
bring in a homeschooling, you are basically depriving your child of that part of social growth. In today,
Hmm.
I sometimes ask this, if I had gone to homeschool, my 10th class school photograph would be
Hmm.
minus me, and on my Facebook probably, or social media, I wouldn't have many friends to connect with from my school days. So how do because that's one of the important parts that gets robbed from a child, because once you're done with your school, I don't think you will ever get that opportunity again. What do you think about that, or say about that?
You have a very, very valid point, and this is one of the very, very big reasons people doubt homeschooling. So the solution is we already have solution. We have some people. I think Saurabh has already given solution. Uh, Build community. So I've been to one person from IIT Madras in Sikandrabad. So he goes to a rented place, and 15 kids come to that place. So the kid ranges from 5 years to 15 years. So it's a full of kids now. So elder kid is sitting with a little younger kid, younger kid is sitting with a little bit younger kid. So it's a community. It's like a family which is getting built there. And the fees is it's up to you. So you have your people also around you with your age, or a little higher to you, or a little lower to you. So basically, it's a community. Let's build community of homeschoolers where people meet each other. So let's say I'm good in maths, so I'll teach everyone maths one day. Somebody is good in science, somebody will teach science every day, and everyone is doing like a community service free. So you are building seva bhavna also. You are building peer also in the whole equation. You are building gratitude, love, knowledge sharing, all these wonderful things which we just read, which kids probably just read in the book, but behind the scene, it's exploitation of teachers, it's exploitation of parents, and huge money is going behind the scene, exchanging hand behind the scene. So we have to break this ecosystem of in the name of socializing. We are sending our kids to school. We should find other ways to socialize. I live in a gated community, hundreds of opportunities to socialize here in the afternoon, in the evenings. We can join music class, we can join some class of mathematics. If you think you don't need 1 hour of English, 1 hour of maths, 1 hour of science, 1 hour of social studies, 1 hour of this. And end of the day, you are nowhere. Basically, it's all what you see is absolutely different than what exactly
I
school is.
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying there. Shravya, coming back to you. Uh, okay, there are certain points. I mean, this is definitely a divided. This particular debate can go on whether homeschooling is good, or the school the fees paid by the charged by the schools are very high. I know from my personal experience that some of the schools, private, especially the private small schools, are right now on the verge of closing down, primarily because they cannot cope with, they cannot, because they don't get fees anymore. I mean, schools where you have the maids, children of the maids or drivers going in, right? they're not paying fees anymore. So which means there are two things happening here. Some of the schools are closing down. Also, there's a divide. There is a gap that's happening between the haves and the have-not. So parents who have access, or parents who can provide access to technology, or schools which are able to conduct online classes, there, by and large, the classes are going on. But schools, small schools which don't have access to technology or cannot make cannot organize online classes, there the children are, basically they have no their education, at least for coming months, it's stopped. So there's a gap. It's reminding me of the 70s. Somebody who could afford to go to school, got education. Somebody who could not will miss out. So do you think that kind of scenario is emerging right now, especially in Nizamabad, where there's a blend of private and government schools?
I think one thing that is definite coming out of this is the learning gaps that children will experience, especially the ones that are used to mainstream learning, that go to school to learn, right? And it could be kids who are going to government school, kids who are going to private schools of different private schools, the small private schools, or the affordable ones, or the high income schools as well. The learning gaps are definitely certain for kids whose learning has stopped. But I wanted to tell you something. So I live in Nizamabad in a community that we call the Jungle Resort, because there's like nobody that lives here. But there's a lot of help, and there are kids that live here, and these kids have gotten together to start farming. They have access to an Android phone because a lot of parents have Android phones. It doesn't matter if they are a maid, if they're a driver, they have Android phones. So what I do like about this lockdown situation is that kids who are, whose curiosity is not killed, they have access, they're figuring out how to get access to information and doing projects on the side. And I think this is, I feel this is something that doesn't happen when the regular school is on, because they are just going to school to, read through the chapters. And I know, I mean, I run a school, I'm aware of what needs to happen and how we need to balance. But this free time, and kids who are utilizing this free time in the right way, especially they come together as a community. And I feel so happy every time I pass by that patch where they're growing all these vegetables. I want to share why I feel this way, right? So when we designed the Presidency campus, we looked for a person to do our landscape in a way that it allows for outdoor learning. So we got in touch with multiple landscape architects, but the person that we finally went with is this guy who works at a nursery that is government run in Vijayawada. So I had a conversation with him and I asked him, how do you know so much, right? He knew what is local, how to, what to do to each plant to make it grow. And he said that as a child, he worked in a nursery. And that's where he picked up all this learning, right? Which he's probably in his 40s now. And maybe, he couldn't go to government school when his parents didn't allow him to go to a school. And he worked somewhere and he picked up that skill, which I don't know if people from that kind of demographics are picking up now, because a lot of parents just see value in sending kids to a school. They don't see value in learning. There's a lot of value in learning, and some schools are good at, making sure learning is happening alongside the formal education, but not all schools are focusing on the learning that needs to happen. So I think it's up to the parents and the kids what they want to do with this time. So there are definitely schools that are not equipped where, it takes a lot of, it's simple like doing a Zoom session for you and I, but it's not simple for a school that has not used any sort of technology before. Like even if I am on Zoom, should I just show a blackboard and teach? It's very difficult for a child to sit in a classroom and listen to a teacher going on a monologue. Or how engaging is it for me to sit on look at it, all of this virtually? So and schools don't have, small private schools do not have the support in terms of content development, because virtually also a lot can happen. It's just about structuring content in a way that kids can independently learn it, right? I can just send an SMS as a private school saying, I want you to buy so and so seed and make sure this plant is grown for the next, make sure this plant grows over the next 2 weeks. This is a small project. and any kid can do it. But who's going to think about, this project can be done? Do parents have the time? Not every parent has the time. Not every parent, yeah, and not every school has the ability to think that way. So,
Saurav, Shravya makes some very interesting points, and one thing that caught my attention was the fact that due to COVID, as the children are learning from home, they're also getting a lot of time to indulge in other activities. I see my own children, right now they've got time for doing painting. They're into multiple tasks, which otherwise was not possible during regular school hours. So the question is, why do we have schools which run from morning 7:30 to about 3 o'clock in the evening, whereas which now at this point in time the kids are going only up to about 1:32.
Yes, so this is a very important question that we need to ask the schools. But in my reading, I have been reading extensively about few books like if you have heard about the concept of Nai Talim by Gandhi ji, if you have heard about Binoba Bhave and his idea of a 1 hour school in the morning for the children and 1 hour school in the evening for the adults, and the teachers will come as volunteers, because he clearly said that when we involve money in education, it's no more an education. And naturally, after 70 years or maybe 200 years, with if I add up the British thing, so adding up money with education, it's not going to work. And we all learning is a very natural process. Yeah, and if we look back in the human history, you will find the learning has always happened very naturally and very locally. So making it forming a hierarchy and someone who is a boss who is controlling from another state and making a syllabus which is exactly same for lakhs and lakhs of children is like killing the creativity. And if we ask any like the role models like let's say Elon Musk is very popular because the kind of things he is doing. So children follow really Elon Musk. Elon Musk has five or seven children, and he is homeschooling them. He has built. Why? That's the question we need to ask. Why such a man can send his child to the best school of the world, but he has designed his own school because he know that every child is very unique. The learning process is unique, and as parents it is our most important responsibility to encourage those interests and give them the chance to cultivate those things. When we send them to school, again, I'm not referring in general every school. There are very beautiful schools which really cultivate. I have seen myself who really focus on individual children. But yes, on a mass level, there are these things where the creativity dries up, and naturally they do a rote learning. So the question that you asked is not something that which I can answer. It's something which the school authorities needs to answer.
So one quick question for you then.
Yeah.
We now there is also we're seeing a lot of online physical activity, yoga sessions, Zumba sessions. Uh, how practical are these?
See, if it is happening through the internet and if the children is only consuming it like a TV or a YouTube thing, it's same. It has no value. If they're just consuming it, just looking and listening to it. There are few things which are interactive, where you have to immediately use your mind, where you have to immediately find out a solution, where you can interact with the screen itself. Although the medium is very new for us to say something right now, because we have never interacted in such a huge amount with the internet the way we are doing right now, and especially our children are doing right now. So I have seen some interactive sessions happening which are really interactive. So there are subjective definition problem that is happening. If I make my child sit on the screen in front of a screen, people think that that is interactive because someone is talking live from across the screen, but that is not interactive. It is just like consuming a recorded thing and live thing. It has to be interactive. Like, for example, if I want to make a child understand how pressure, maybe air pressure works. So if I do some activity on the screen where he or she has to fill a air within the balloon, and I have to move something like a kind of a mouse up and down, and like a pressure creating, and that is generating a air and moving the air into the bubble or a balloon. And then after some time, and I can also see the movements of the molecule, you know, and they are moving inside, and after some time it will blast because it has reached the elasticity of its thing. So in that way the child will understand, okay, at certain point I need to stop. But if simply a video is running and a guy is explaining with a great graphics, it doesn't have any value. I think it is my belief, I might be wrong, but I have been interacting with parents who say, you know, at the initial stage of the COVID, we have been interacting, we have been doing such things, but it is same as consuming videos, nothing else.
I agree with you. It has to be more interactive where they can, they do and learn it.
Hmm.
Satyendraji, parents, I mean, as rightly, brought it by Shravya also, parents don't have a lot of time. I mean, not all parents have time on their hands to, indulge in homeschooling. But also the reality is in Hyderabad alone, there are a lot of schools on the verge of closing. And some of the schools I know personally, these are small private schools which are up for sale, primarily because they cannot, because they never could create enough reserves with the fees they were charging to sustain, let alone for a year, but even for a few months. So there is a correlation between what the schools charge and the resource that they have to, provide to the kids. How do you see that? I mean, because you have been opposing high fees, but they say now the current crisis has also shown that these schools need to charge certain amount of school fees, which would help them, probably, go over this crisis, overcome this crisis.
Yeah. Basically, we definitely we wanted to go for those schools which are too many branches have opened up. Like DPS is one of those, or Chirek is one of those. So money making machines basically, which shows you a lot of wonderful hotel like architecture or wonderful buildings or wonderful ground. But yeah, school need to charge. The school need to survive. We all need to have money to run things. So I absolutely agree with that. So there's no solution. We can't say solution. We can't give solution. This is the times like that small players will go out. I mean, it's just like Amazon. When Amazon comes, so many other guys will get out of this whole scenario. This is the law of nature. Whenever big guys are there, small guys probably they won't stand a chance. So now parents need but we have to educate our kids. So the answer is what can we do now? We cannot send our kids to very popular schools because of fees, high fees, and small schools are evaporating. The answer probably has to be found, and probably the answer is build skills. Just like Shravya said, farming skills is wonderful, carpentry skill is wonderful. So we should start making, some people should start coming and start opening vocational stuff to based on training of skills. So no physics, no maths, no chemistry, no different classes. Skill based, just one or two skill based. So some people should come forward. People who have money like you and me, to open up these type of things, so that to engage the people, engage the kids. That's what I think it should go in that direction.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the thing. So let me start with go through the last round of questions. Shravya, coming back to you, what is the future of schooling? Do you see the current crisis in some ways is going to disrupt schooling?
I want to say the future of learning is definitely going to be disrupted, because I feel a lot of parents will, be more okay to adopt technology into their child's learning journey. Will schooling change? I think it's a very case by case thing. Schools will continue to exist as long as parents need to go to work from 9 to 5. Because schools are as much a daycare center as they are a place for learning. So it's if schools can balance between learning and social skills and doing projects, I think children will enjoy it, because we're all social beings at the end of the day. But yeah, so the future of schooling will, that's a question I ask every day. How is it going to change? How many schools will change, right? So there are so many schools that are just waiting for them to reopen, and I doubt if anything will change for such schools. Maybe the parents will change. Maybe the parents see some schools are, trying to do a blended approach of doing things physically at the school, but also it's important to, I feel online learning is very important for every parent to adopt, because learning is not linear. And when you put a child in a class, it becomes linear. You can send this, I mean, even a mainstream school like ours, where you have students in each grade according to their age, when you blend it with online learning, the kids, become independent. They take charge of their own learning. I recently noticed one of our school kids, grade 6, so she started her own YouTube channel, and I'm so proud of that. When I see that, I feel, I get goosebumps. And this would not have happened if not for COVID, because adults need to be on board for kids to actually unleash themselves. And yeah, the future of schooling, is it going to be disrupted? I think it's I don't know. It's going to be case by case. It will be disrupted for every school where the parent wants to, adopt technology. That's what I feel.
Saurabh, do you think the parents are ready for a disruption in schooling and learning?
No, I think the parents are super confused right now. Super confused. I get calls. I mean, the number of calls that I used to get before COVID was like a few calls, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 a month, which has got to like 4, 5 a day, right? So, and the way they question, like they have absolutely no knowledge about anything beyond school. So they think homeschooling also has a school. So they ask, where do we need to go and fill up the form for homeschooling? And they are well educated parents. So I think they are super confused. And uh, I think we need to educate or maybe help them uh, or aware them about all the other options that are available. That is the most important things, I think, because children will naturally follow their parents. And if parents are not aware, then it's a serious issue, I think. So let's help them out. That's what I can say.
Well, at this point in time, it looks like the best time, if somebody is having it, is the children, because I get to hear from my kids that it's perfect for them. They get to learn whatever they want to learn, and they get to do whatever they need to do. And I hope in coming time, the schools and the parents find some common ground which will help not just revolutionize or disrupt the schooling, but also learning, as Shravya said. Thank you very much, Saurav, Shravya, and Satnaji. Thank you very much for joining in. Thank you.